Welcome back to another episode of Putting Our Business in the Streets. I'm Demia, the mother.
I'm Imani, the daughter.
And
I'm still here.
And she's still here. So since day one of us doing this podcast, I would feel as though you have been our number one supporter.
Okay, good.
And thank you.
Number one.
Good.
Thank
Yes,
you.
you're
You always
welcome.
comment. You always, I needed to be in on this one.
Right.
Or she'll be texting me separate, like, who said that about you? That kind of thing.
Yes.
So we're always back and forth. So
Yes.
I wanted to actually get your feedback on,
different ones.
or first just overall,
Yeah.
what do you think about the podcast?
I love
Is there
it.
anything you
I
would
like it.
want to see us do
Thank
different,
you. Yeah, I
sound
like it a
different,
lot.
look different? Do you like our setup? Should we be in the living room? Do you like us sitting at the kitchen table?
I've
like
never
stuff like
seen
that.
you on video.
Right.
I don't
Right,
watch
right,
you
right.
on video.
Okay,
I
and
don't.
you did say that. She was like,
Yeah.
she must not watch video because the
I
way
don't.
she comments.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't, because usually I'm in the car
Okay.
and, with my kids, they're constant. So
Right.
I don't get a chance to okay, I'm going to go listen to my podcast.
Mhm.
I'm gonna
Okay.
go by, leave me alone. The only alone time I truly have is in that car.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
And so when you started it, we were still in the school year, and I was, I commute to 6 different schools.
Mm.
So, it's the perfect job
Mhm.
for podcasts. So I'm like, oh, okay. So, there's one that I listen to, constantly, and then yours came up, so I was like, okay, how am I going to put it in the rotation? But I listened to it, I'm like, oh, that was pretty cool. Okay, that was nice. All right. And then, your mom said the certain things that you guys talk about,
Mhm.
I'm talking to you in the car, or I'm talking to you wherever I'm listening, and it's okay. All right. And, I have so much to say that I can't put that in the comments.
Right.
Because I feel like, one, I'm going to be the only one this dissertation.
Oh, you said because she's always commenting on the Instagram
On the
page
Instagram.
and not
Yes.
in the YouTube, right?
Yes,
And I was
yes,
so she
yes,
must
yes.
not watch. She must
Mhm.
listen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then there's a stretch where you don't see me commenting
Mhm.
because I think I was involved in something, and then I had to listen to
Thanks,
4
listen.
of them,
Mhm.
one after up. All right.
Yeah, and you were commenting. I'm like, she's commenting on different episodes.
Yeah,
right? So I
yeah.
could tell she was just listening to
Right.
all of them, all right then and there. Okay.
And it's funny because when we started the podcast, I didn't expect video.
Right.
That video wasn't our initial
Right.
talk.
Right.
Then my brother came around. He's like, I'm not going to listen. I need to watch it.
Oh my God.
So that's why technically
And
we
I'm-
started doing
Right.
YouTube.
Vice
Well, I
versa.
had said too,
And
because
then
I was
people,
like,
yeah.
when I listen to podcasts, I do watch. I prefer
Okay.
to watch, just
Okay.
because when I just listen, I just end up not paying attention.
Right.
Okay.
It just doesn't hold my attention
Okay.
as much as a video.
And it's probably, I guess, for me, because I know what you guys look like.
Right.
So I don't really need to see you.
Right.
Gotcha.
And I know where you're doing it. I'm like,
Right.
okay. So I know
Yeah.
that part, and it's like,
Yeah. It's just personal preference.
yeah.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
like I said, it's because I'm in the car.
Yeah.
I can't see it.
Right.
And I think I was in the car, because your podcast I can listen to with the kids in the car.
Mm.
Whereas the other one, because they use profanities and things
Mhm.
like that. And they say, Mom, you have to turn this off.
Well, for future reference, we'll now have to know for certain ones.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
Carolyn, the kids
Yes.
can't listen to this one.
Yes. Please tell me that.
Yes.
'Cause, look, Maya is the language police.
Okay.
Oh, this is not appropriate. I think all right, I've taught you too well. Okay,
Very
fine.
good.
What do you listen on?
Spotify.
Okay.
Spotify. And you come up, all of the podcasts I listen to, it just automatically goes to the
When
next
it first
one.
happened, so I listen to a lot of them now for research purposes.
Right, right.
And then I just fell into liking them.
Mhm.
So when ours pops up next, I'll be like, oh, we've made it to somebody's rotation.
Because I was like, oh, they got a new one. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
They'll just
let's
come
listen,
up.
Let's listen. Yeah.
So of all the ones that you've listened to, is there anyone that stands out that you can remember?
Well, just the recent one, Being Black.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the full title.
Yeah.
But you guys were talking about that. And I forget, I need a notebook where I could say, oh, I have
As
to
they
ask
say
about
it,
that.
right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Because when you were saying, like, coming up, you never really heard anyone use the N-word toward you other than that one
In high school.
incident. And of course I was like, well, I don't think I've ever heard anyone call me that. I'm sure they have.
Right.
Right.
Not directly to your face.
Right. And then, like, when you think about all of the experiences, your life experiences, and you're thinking as a black person, that's always in the back of your head, right? Like, if I'm in the store and this one is looking at me a little too far, is it because I'm black?
Right.
Why are you looking at me this way?
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't get the job, is it because
Physical.
I'm black?
Yeah.
Or I'm not black enough? Or I'm too black?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can go either way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I was saying that could have been a part 1, part 2, part 3.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because there's so much there.
She texted
Yeah.
and was like, so is there a time limit on how long
Right.
you can do a podcast?
Right,
And I was
'cause I'm
like, no,
like-
I don't think so. She said, because you could have went much longer
Yes,
on that
like,
one.
why'd y'all stop? Like, there's
So
so
we'll
much
have to bring you
more.
back for a whole
Yeah.
episode about that. Yeah.
And,
Mhm.
you know, for those of, well, obviously you don't know because you don't know me.
Right.
But I'm in an interracial relationship.
Mhm.
My husband is Caucasian. And I always make the joke that I'm the minority in my family because my kids look like their dad.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I see brown kids when I look at my kids, but you've seen their picture. There's
Right.
nothing brown about them
Mhm.
unless it's in the summer.
There's a hint. There's
Right,
a tint.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
like
It's like my
maybe.
niece.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah. Or like you can be like, oh no, their features look a little
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
but like
yeah.
just based off of skin color, people
Right,
might
Right.
yeah.
And so, and like I get the, are those your kids?
Mhm.
And it's like they look just like me.
Right.
They just have their father's
Mhm.
coloring.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I'm always, how can I put it? That's just something that's always in the back of my mind.
Mhm.
And, like, I'm trying not to put that on the kids, but at the same time, I feel like I don't think I introduce enough black culture to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that because, you know, I'm hiding from it or running away from it. It's just, you know, I'm living my life, doing my thing. This has never really been an issue for me,
Mm-hmm.
like outright. But I'm sure, like, I've been passed over for things and,
Right.
you know, gotten chill from other people because of it.
Mhm.
But it hasn't affected me.
Are you feeling that at all during now that you're interviewing?
I wonder that all the time.
Yeah,
That's always
if that's
one
why
of
you're
the
not being
questions
hired.
right.
in my head. Yeah.
The first time I thought that for you was with this internship.
Okay.
No, you
That-
thought that with that other job too.
Which one?
At the store with the.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But then with this one, I wonder if once she saw you.
But see, I don't look at that as an excuse because you know what I look like. Or if you're really looking at my resume, you should
Mhm.
know what I look like before. First
Right.
of all, my name tells you.
Right.
Second, I have a whole portfolio on my resume.
Mhm.
If you're looking at that, there's pictures of me on my
Right.
resume on that.
Got it.
Right.
So
It shouldn't
that's
be a
why
surprise.
exactly
Right.
it shouldn't be a surprise.
Right.
And then, like I said, my name.
Yeah.
Like I've never
Yeah.
met a
Mhm.
non-black person with the name
Right.
Imani.
Okay.
But,
But-
then Carolyn Stout, Carolyn is typically a white name.
Mhm.
Stout is German.
Mm.
And then if I put the Swain on there,
Mhm.
that's Irish.
Right.
Right.
And then I roll up in there and they're like, you're
Right.
Carolyn Stout?
Right.
Yes,
Because
I
my
am.
last name I know is I don't know where,
Right,
but
right.
a lot of white people do have, or Caucasian people do have the last name more.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But I'm like, but my first name gives it away that I'm not.
right.
Right.
I'm
Right.
not, yeah.
And it's like, so, like, I'm in the interviews and they talk to me for hours,
Mhm.
literally hours. And they'll say, oh, this will just take 20 minutes, like going into it.
Mhm.
And then 2-3 hours later, you're still talking to me. You're talking to me about human resources, all the stuff that's supposed to be like the second or third interview. Like, why are you talking to me about this stuff and then I don't get the job?
That's what I be saying. I feel like I'm making very good connections with people.
Yes.
We're talking.
Yes.
Having great conversation, but then you tell me no.
Right.
And this last one, she was talking to me as if it was mine.
Right. Like come on.
It was no ifs,
yes.
none of that. And
Right.
then you tell me no.
Right.
So then I have to think, okay, is it because I'm black?
Right.
Because what else is the reason? I meet all the qualifications.
Right.
We had a great interview. So then what is it?
And then asking, oh, well, Dr. Stout, what would you do about this? You know, in educational circles. And like, okay, so now you're asking me for ideas about specific issues that you have, and you still don't want to hire me?
I just made a whole fake Instagram. 3 fake posts as if I was going to post on this Instagram for this company. For them to tell me no. And this is the second time I've had to do something like that. And I'm like, well, how I know you're not about to take my ideas I just did? Because then I show it, I present it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is great. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
I know you taking notes and you're going to use it.
Right.
But it's just like, why don't you then see me as a great hire?
Exactly.
Clearly I can add something and bring something to the table.
Right.
So then what's the reason why you're not hiring
and you
me?
question yourself.
Yeah.
Like you question so much, and then it's like, well, was I too friendly? Was I too, like, were they scared that they connected with me so much? Because then I feel like it comes down to, well, maybe this heifer's going to come in here and take my job. Like, honey, I'm not looking for your job. I want my own job. You keep yours. I don't want that. I'm here for the job that I'm looking for.
And it's funny because when we were talking last weekend at Ginger's, we had brought up, I think, the whole situation that's happening in Florida with how they're trying to teach the new curriculum.
Yeah.
And how we were saying, like they're scared for us to be in power because they're afraid that we'll do to them what they did to us. And it's like, we're not worried about that. Like, that's the least of our worries. That's the last thing on our brain. We just want equality.
Yes.
But you know the funny thing with that is my brother posted, I think it was my brother that put something recently on social media going back to the 1800s or 1700s or something, and talking about how it hasn't always been a black and white issue. It has been Europeans versus I don't know, the Germans versus the
even
this
now
versus
there's
the that.
like African Americans versus
And at
Jamaicans
that time
or
it was
something like
still
that. Caribbean.
the primary whites who were dissatisfied with those who were not white.
Right.
So it's not just us.
Right.
It's anybody that's not them.
Right.
That they still have the problem with. And again, the fear is coming back again that they will soon be the minority.
Right. Yeah.
And this is where, but this was something that was even happening back then. And like you said, we ain't thinking about y'all.
We just want,
we just trying to get ours.
Our fair share and equity and equality.
Yeah. Right.
That's it.
That's it.
That's literally
like,
because we won't even have to think about you. At all.
Is thinking about you anyway.
Exactly.
The only reason I'm thinking about you is at all is because I have to get through this interview, go through this hoop and that hoop and that hoop to get where I need to be. I need to make a living for my family, and I need to try to be comfortable in this life. I'm not trying to be, living on the streets or whatever it is, and that seems to be where you want me.
Right.
And so when you go to these interviews, and I don't know if you've found this or you found this, like the education level, I feel like they get surprised, especially when I'm in there and, oh, your doctorate. It's like, did you look at the resume? You looked at the resume. Like, there should be no surprises at this point because I gave you that beautifully written cover letter. I've given you the resume. You've seen what I can do. The resume is telling you that. And then you have this 2-3 hour conversation with me and still, like, what are you afraid of that I'm going to do or not do once I'm in here? Like,
I don't see it, I guess because I'm in the field that I've been in for so long, so it's not necessarily what they see on my resume, but it's more so for what I'm able to do just in person, period. And I think sometimes they're like the rapport I build with people, and like so many people like gravitate towards me, and sometimes that I could see certain people being like, so what do you have that we don't have?
Right.
It's called just being human, and knowing how to talk to people,
and
knowing how to interact, and how to build rapport. And
you
have to do that in order to do our job. I don't care about you over there. I care about this right here,
Just
and how I'm going
job.
to function and do my job here. So I would say I see it differently that way. But then also I used to get, then once I built rapport with my coworkers, then it was as like a parent. How are you able to raise a daughter by yourself? And she was a straight A student, and she was, cum laude, and she was this, and she never got pregnant, and she never did drugs, and how were you able to do that? So I get those. So it's
I'm
like
an involved parent. I have a relationship with my child.
Like, I love the relationship that you have with your daughter. I wish I had that with mine. Do you talk to her? Do you sit with her?
You have conversation, like true
conversation,
genuine
and it could be a different, because when she was coming up, my mom, don't talk to her like shit, baby. We don't have wee-wees. We don't have this. It's a penis and a vagina. It was like that. Talk to her like she's a human, like this. So I don't know if that had to do with it, but it was still just a matter of
bite you in the butt. Too.
But it was still just a matter of And then again, I didn't know if it was because it was just us. There wasn't, other siblings. I didn't have a husband. So I was like, I don't know. Maybe it's that reason. But then at the same time, I'm like, no. I know plenty of two-parent, multiple children households where the black child is succeeding. So it's not.
They're surprised.
It is. It's a surprise.
Surprised.
Like, wow. And the first time I had, I'm like, I don't know, because she's smart.
Like, what kind of person do you think I am?
We not all just gangbangers, and so I think maybe that's what it is. That I was the one that introduced them to something other than what they're seeing on the news. I guess
the stereotype. You go against the stereotype, and they're not used to that, or they're not expecting that, and so when you come along and like she's so soft-spoken and so strong and so smart and like she's beautiful and she like you got all this.
You're so pretty.
Like,
was I supposed to be ugly?
Right? Like...
And if I was, would you be like, you're so ugly?
Like, maybe they're like, well, she's all that. There must be something that she can't, like, no. It's not.
I'm the full package.
Don't
be scared.
Don't
be scared.
Don't be scared.
Like, just come on in and feel my light.
Like,
we can do this.
We can be friends, actually.
But...
Because you got nothing that I want.
Seriously.
Nothing.
Other than this job.
Correct.
I do want this job, but other than that, like I can get whatever you have. Like I'm good. So like it's frustrating. It's very frustrating, and I think unless you are living it, you can't really explain it. And I know Michael tries to understand it, and because he even said, like, when you got your doctorate, I thought like you were going to be able to write your own ticket. It was going to, I'm like, I thought so too.
Exactly.
I've got the education, I've got the experience. I'm like over 2 decades in. Like, what are y'all looking for? Exactly, what are you looking for?
And that's how I feel about the education. I feel like my degree doesn't matter. Like, they don't care that I have a degree. Like, that means nothing to them. It seems like, and then the older generations are wondering why kids don't want to go to college. And it's like, well, who wants to be in debt for a degree piece of paper that's not going to mean anything? Especially nowadays with a lot of jobs, you don't have to have a degree anymore. So it's like, you don't have to go that route. If you don't want to. Of course, you still have a plan. Make something out of yourself. But I be feeling like that they just skip by on my resume and like, okay, well, let me look at this experience, and it's like, and that's the part that I lack is the experience.
But you can't get the experience until they hire you.
Thank you. And I say that in interviews.
She says all the time, like, people, you don't want to hire me unless I have experience. But you don't want to hire me to give me the experience or give me any training. Right. So then what?
And training. Jobs don't want to train anymore. Right. I'll go on LinkedIn. They're like, oh, entry level position, but requirements. Oh, 3 to 5 years of experience. That's not entry level. That's not entry level. And just because I have a degree does not mean I know everything. Right. It's way different being in the field than learning about it in the classroom. Right. It's totally two different things.
Then the fact that you have gone through all of these studies, and in my case, doing all that research for the dissertation, like, look, I know how to look something up. Right. If you don't want to teach me, I will figure it out. Right. So at least give me that benefit of the doubt. Like, I know how to research. I know how to do this. Like, just.
But everywhere you go, you have to come in getting some kind of training. Right. Even going in as a teacher, you still gotta learn the curriculum, learn this, learn how the buildings run, learn the schedules, learn everything. You still gotta learn something once you get there. Nobody goes in knowing exactly what. Boom, here it is. Do. You know what I mean? So I feel for
FOS. You know, that just tells you their FOS, and it's Susie's cousin's friend who just graduated and needed a job, and like I got to the point where I really just wanted to say, if this is a waste of my time, please tell me now, and we can have a nice conversation. You can check your box that, we interviewed, it was fine. This one, she was really great. Talk to her, but we went this way. Just tell me from the outset so that I'm not in 3 hours thinking, oh, I think I got that one. I got this one, you know? And then I hear nothing. And when I go and, you write the email, okay, well, thank you for the opportunity. It was nice meeting you. For the future, can you tell me what things can I work on to make me back? I heard that one. Yes. And, like, what's the feedback? They can't.
Because even this one she just had the other day, I'm like, the email even is like,
we love your energy. We love what you brought. Right. We had great
but the powers that be have decided something. But we have these great positions open in this way and that way. Because to me, it's like you didn't even want me for that. You trying to fool me into that.
Exactly.
Bait and switch. Bait and switch. But if it's a better position, okay,
yeah. But then, like she said, she doesn't even want to ask about those because you're going to pull me into that interview process and still not hire.
Right.
And then I just don't want to end up in a space that's totally different from what I'm trying to do. So that the experience I do have doesn't match that, and now I really can't get the jobs that I want.
And you've wasted this time.
Yeah, because everybody's like, well, why don't you just do this in the meantime or do that in the meantime? And I'm just like, I get y'all are trying to help.
Right.
But me personally, I just don't think it's the best route for me to do that.
But in these positions, this is what I would have to think. In these positions, you know how, let's just face it, everybody lies on their resume, right? But could you finagle a responsibility that would generally mirror something in the field that you're searching for that could be what you need? You know what I mean? Like, so you were doing one thing, but this field over here words it differently than what you were doing over here, and it's like, oh, it's essentially the same thing. So let me just put it down that I did that.
Right.
Whether you did it once or whether you did it 200 times, I did that. Put it on there. Because if they want to lie, you lie too.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I do have one thing on my resume. I did it once. Yeah. But I did it.
Right.
So.
Right. So you did it.
They gave you experience.
Right. I have experience.
They didn't say it's extensive experience.
Right.
It's just experience.
Yes. I've been exposed to that.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's all about how you talk and how you present it, because I feel like half the things that they ask for in resumes, they've never done it.
Right.
So what you asking me that for? Stop playing. Like, okay, we can fake it together, but I know you've never done this.
Right.
Stop.
Yeah.
So, That's an issue.
Is there any other episode that remembering for you?
No, that was a big one.
Because that's the one you were like, girlfriend.
Yes. Why'd you stop?
We have the vision boards. We have pet peeves. We have New York. She was like, you put that hotel on blast.
Yes. Name names.
Social media. Differences is how we grew up.
Yeah.
Life after college. Our vision boards. Friends. You kind of touched on that for a second.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to say anything else about that. Music.
That was a good one. I was just thinking of all the music that I've been exposed to. And because the kids, my kids, they know yacht rock a lot because I listen to yacht rock a lot. You know, that's, you know, if you don't know it. It's like easy listening, like Lionel Richie, the Commodores, Billy Joel. And so Maya will pipe up from the back seat when she hears like the beginning strains of the music, and she'll say, you know, baby, come back. It's like, how do you know that? And she's like, I listen. And then I was listening to, like I've been listening to George Michael and Wham recently, because like he was one of my favorites.
There's
my
a
mom
documentary
really
about
liked
them
him.
on Hulu. Did you see it?
Listen, I've watched the Wham one, and then I watched like 2 or 3 George Michael ones. And did not realize the extent of his issues. Like, oh my goodness, like I felt so bad for him. And so the different music that was filtering through, it's like, oh yeah, my mom liked that one, my mom liked that one, my mom liked that one. So I went down and I was making cookies and I was listening to George Michael. And Christopher, like there's a counter and then there's a computer on the other side of the counter. And so Christopher, you could hear him like, you know, he's snapping his fingers and he's, you know, going along with it. I'm like, okay, you like George Michael, okay. And so that reminded me of when I was a kid, listening to the stuff that my mom listened to, and the stuff my dad listened to, because I think I have like a really broad catalog of music that I can relate to. So like I've listened to, I remember when 98.1, when we were at McDevitt, like that was the right station.
And I remember telling her how we had stations back then that played all of it. You could get Stevie Wonder, Wham, George Michael, Michael Jackson on the same station. We didn't have it broken down by whatever.
So I would listen to that. I'd listen to DAS Sunday nights with my mom. She would have her wine, and then she would let me stay up to a certain time, and then it was like, okay, you got to go upstairs now. It's time for, you know, you got to get ready for school, all that stuff. But she would let me sit there with her, and then she loved Gloria Lynn, so I know Gloria Lynn. She was a jazz artist. My dad liked country music, so I listened to country music. So when I met Michael, and I would like hear the songs he was listening to, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I like this one. And it wasn't until later he's like, yeah, you do know a lot of white music. I'm like, yeah. And then like I have a cousin who's a musician, and like she exposed me to a lot as well. So it's like I just like music, you know. And so for my kids, I think they're going to have an even greater catalog to draw from, because they've got me and Michael, and so it's like, wow, you know. And like I said, the fact that like Maya knows Piano Man by Billy Joel, like she can sing it. She knows like the 80s hits, and because when I'm making my cookies, I have the Alexa playing. We call it Steve when we don't want to turn it on.
We have a Google Home.
Okay. So they know that if I play the 80s or whatever I'm playing, that they can stay there and be with me, just like I did with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, don't make any false moves. Just be cool. She'll let you stay as long, you know. And then they'll ask me about different things, and it's like, oh, Mom, well, what about that song? I'm like, oh, you want to hear that? Okay, Alexa, play this. And it's like, I know what you're doing. Go upstairs. Go upstairs.
Right.
Yeah, so that was a good episode. I like that one too.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I mean, all of it. Like, it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Thank you.
And like I said, I keep talking to y'all, but y'all don't hear me in my car.
She's like, it needs to be interactive.
Right. You know, like.
And we have another one when we worked at the ESF camp. The director there, she listens, and she be the same way.
Yeah.
This needs to be interactive. I got things I need to say.
Right. Hey, can we do a call in? Right. You know, like what's going on? So it's,
I think it's great.
Yeah.
We thank you so much for always being right there. When I pulled up for lunch, she was like, I just finished listening to your vision board update.
Right. Like I have 15 minutes left. And so I listened to the rest of it before I came up.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because I was like, no, if we talk about it, I want to make sure. I I heard everything.
And I remember how we did the vision board when I first moved in here.
Yes.
Do you remember that? She came over with Miss Lord.
Yep.
Oh, I kind of remember that.
Yeah. I think I just threw that board out.
Did you?
What was that? 2017?
It had to be up when I just got here.
Yeah, I think I had it in my stairwell, my second stairwell, and Michael's like, what are we doing?
So you haven't done one since then?
No, that was my one and only. And when I taught mindfulness last year, year before, I tried to get my students to do it. And they were like, yo, what's this? I'm like, okay, never mind. Just don't even. Because, you know, you need the magazines. They don't have magazines.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was, like, collecting magazines to do it. But when they were pushing back on not just the vision board, but everything, I was like, you know what? Let's go outside. Y'all can go run around. Like, I'm not fighting y'all.
Right.
I'm really, like, for my mindfulness,
Right.
I'm good.
Okay, well, that's all for this one. Thank you for listening. To all three, thank you for coming and joining
Thank you for
us.
having me.
Make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms at Biz in the Streets Pod. Everything will be in the description box below, and I hope y'all enjoyed. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.